During the Great Depression, the federal government desperately tried to create programs to suppress the negative effects of the sudden collapse of the economy and help the people through recovery plans. Many attempts, both successful and unsuccessful, were made by the government to help the people's faith in their government, aiding the agriculture industry physically and monetarily in conflicts between labor and capitalism. Roosevelt's New Deal called for the creation of the Agricultural Adjustment Act and Agricultural Adjustment Administration to help farmers who overproduce crops, which resulted in a serious drop in prices. One of the AAA's policies called for a domestic allotment plan, where the federal government would pay farmers subsidies for destroying crops and keeping their land fallow. Domestic allotment worked to an extent, since it was passed after spring planting already started. This aggravated farmers, and the participation of slowing down. Many farmers tried to take advantage of those who ceased production and continued to sell crops. The AAA raised prices of corn, wheat, and cotton. However, sharecroppers were hit even harder than before due to the recent lack of land to work on. Farm owners also kept most of the money gained from the federal subsidies for themselves and left sharecroppers with next to nothing. As the U.S. began to recover from the initial destruction of the Great Depression, unions started to appear again. This was caused by the decreased demand for jobs due to an increased employment rate. Thus, simply surviving wasn't all that was on the management and laborers' agendas. The American Federation of Labor was formed to increase the power of labor. After Roosevelt was elected, he passed the Wagner National Labor Act, allowing labor to unionize and forcing the management to listen to their demands. Despite the establishment of the act in many unions, laborers still struggled with their management. For example, the employers in California claimed that the Cannery and Agricultural Workers Industrial Union was a communist conspiracy, and used this to claim to justify hiring enforcers in order to intimidate workers. In Michigan, the Congress of Industrial Organizations was accused of being communist as well. During a strike, the CIO and the local police force fought. Only after 5 years did Roosevelt and Congress finally pass the Norris-LaGuardia Act, preventing federal entities from interfering with the labor and management feuding. In the end, there was nothing tangible that Roosevelt administration could do to completely stop the inequality and violence towards the labor force and the unions. There was only so much that Congress and the Roosevelt administration could do to fix all the problems going on during the Great Depression. Because the problems brought about by the Depression stemmed from people's beliefs, the agricultural industry, and the long strife between labor and capital, many different policies of different natures had to be enacted by the government. It makes sense that only some of the programs fixed issues. It wasn't until World War II that the U.S. ended the Depression.